NFL betting show on FTN Network. Abby Labar, Mike Randle, Chris Meaney with you. And guys, what a weird week one. I guess I should say weird week one, but that's pretty much like kind of how it goes, right? And then after week one, you kind of assess the situation and the issues and the problems, and then you address them. But there were also some very exciting, very surprising moments from week one. And I would hit the bets first because you guys were on point last night with almost all of them. Randall, you were the only one I think that maybe you missed one. Is that it? We would have been on this.
I am among greatness, Abby, with yourself and Chris Meaney. Chris Meaney, a perfect 3-0 here, knocks it out of the park. I go 2-1. Thank you, Josh Allen, for getting it home last night. If only Christian McCaffrey could have slowed down, or the Steelers could have possibly showed up a little bit, we could have been 6-0 on the show.
Yeah, I think I chose the wrong New York team, mayy.
Yes, you did. You did.
Yeah,
we told you that.
Yeah, I don't know
East, stay away from them.
Yeah, but you guys agreed with me. We all thought, I don't know what happened with the Giants, but I also don't really know what happened with the Jets because I played the Jets money line and then Aaron Rodgers went down and we were all holding our breath and somehow they still pulled it off, which was pretty impressive. So maybe it might be too early to switch over. Is that allowed? I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't because then it could be bad for the Jets. Maybe it's me. I'm the problem.
Yo, you think you're bad luck? Yeah. It's possible. I tell you what. The Giants didn't show up at all. It's easy to move away from that team. You can be a fan for one day, and you can move over to the Jets if you want, because at least their defense is good.
Mimi, how about what we have going on this week? I know you're the guru when it comes to storylines, notes, anything of importance as we head into this weekend and week 2.
Yeah, well, let's just take a look at the matchups for one. Our guy George always making us look good here at FTN Network. He had the lines here for us early in the week, so we can address some of the line movement. I know if you're watching, especially if you're watching closer to Sunday, you're like, what do you mean the Cowboys are favored by a field goal against those Jets? That spread is now 9. Of course, we know, unfortunately, Aaron Rodgers is lost for the season. Words out of his mouth, just heartbreaking, and it really was actually rough to see. Even though I'm not the hugest Rodgers fan, you just don't want to see that stuff. But the Cowboys are big favorites here for their home opener. The Eagles are now 6-point favorites for their home opener inside the NFC East against the Vikings. We've seen a little bit of line movement now. The Colts are favored by 1 against the Texans. Still waiting word on Anthony Richardson. We want to have this show out early for you guys and try to create some edges. Of course, we're not going to know all the practice reports. Things may change. You know what? The Colts should be favored, whether it's Anthony Richardson or Gardner Minshew under center, but they are on the road against the Texans. The Chiefs, now that Jones is signed and he will make his Chiefs debut. I guess it's not his Chiefs debut, but his season debut this weekend against Jacksonville. They're now 3.5-point favorites, and it does sound like Travis Kelce will be available for that game. The Niners are 8-point favorites against the Rams on the right side there, and everything else is kind of what you see. Cleveland 2, 1.5 in some spots. The Dolphins 2.5, 3 in some spots. And I know, Abby, I think you were very impressed with the Miami Dolphins and Tyreek. I know they're on your radar this weekend against New England.
I will say in fantasy, I was up against Marshall's team and he had Tyreek Hill. And I was confused because my team was projected to actually do better than his. And I was like, what in the world's going on? And I was like, oh, that's why I guess Tyreek Hill. No, super impressed by Tua as well. I mean, I think everyone was. He's one of those guys that I feel like a lot of people, no matter – sorry, I got things falling here. No matter what, whether you're a football fan of a certain team or not, basically what I'm trying to say is with Aaron Rodgers, right? Whether you're a Jets fan or not, you still hate to see it. With Tua, I feel like he's one of those quarterbacks that whether you're a Dolphins fan or not, you want to see him succeed somehow. I don't know. He's just a really likable quarterback. And so it was really cool to have him and Tyreek connect and just what the Dolphins are doing down there. I'm high on them right now. I really liked what I saw last week.
Randall, any big takeaways from you? Week 1, there were a lot of unders. We're all in a chat. We're prepping for the show. Big takeaway from me, honestly, was just the rust of quarterbacks and offenses. Nick Sirianni said after the game, well, I wish I would have played Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown a little bit more. But, I mean, a lot of coaches are not playing their starters in preseason games. So I thought across the board, there was a lot of offenses that we expect to be good. Yeah, the Chargers and the Dolphins game, we said that one would cruise past the over. 30 points on each side, it would be fun. But there are a lot of teams, the Bengals in particular, the Eagles, we never seen 5 straight drives. They didn't even have a first down against New England. Credit to the Patriots defense, but a lot of rusty offenses. You feel like in week 2, we may see more high scoring? more game?
That's talked about it on his pod with Mike Tanier here at FTN. The week the quarterbacks were terrible is basically what it was. And there's a lot of storylines that we have to see if they were knee-jerk reactions or they're going to stick. First, AFC North, guys. Are the Bengals really struggling? They started 0-2 last year, and the Steelers, horrific performance. Are they going to be able to bounce back? Tomlin at home as an underdog is usually pretty good, but here comes a Cleveland team under Jim Schwartz that looks fantastic. So it was the quarterbacks across the board. Chargers looked good. And teams, I noticed, Chris, they've been taking away the big play, dinking and dunking. Chargers offense looked solid, but they just couldn't stop the Dolphins. In a game, guys, the Dolphins never led the entire way until the final score.
All right, so speaking of teams taking away the big plays and teams that just kind of have a lot of pressure on them going into week 2, it all starts on Thursday night, okay? So this is a big one, NFC matchup. Randall, I want to start with what you're looking at for this one. We talked about eliminating the deep ball here. Which specific prop do you like?
Yeah, the RBBC in the NFL is dominant, but it's not the case in Minnesota, where Alexander Mattison played 73% of the snaps, and that's going to continue. We did not see a lot of Ty Chandler, and I don't think we're going to see that. So I am focusing on Alexander Mattison's receiving yardage prop, which Dr. Meaney informed me is now at 13.5 yards prior to the start of the show. I wrote it up for 15.5. It's now 13.5. Guys, Mattison's on the field all the time. Early week 1, he had 3 receptions, 4 targets against Tampa Bay. Last year, when Dalvin Cook was hanging around, he had 3 receptions on 5 targets. He is an integral part of the receiving game. I think if he gets 3 receptions, he's going to break 13.5 receiving yards in a game where the total is 49 points, second highest to the Chiefs in Jacksonville. So, Abby, first pick here, going with Mattison as a receiver out of the backfield, a role that he played when Dalvin Cook was there. I think they're going to use him a lot. I think he smashes this. It may only take just 1 reception.
It could. Yeah. No, that's totally fair. Meaney?
I mean, like the call, because if you're going to beat the Eagles, I think you want to slow the pace down a little bit, run the rock, use your running back. And what we talked about last week is I think Philly's really going to struggle in the middle of the field. I mean, Ramondre Stevenson had 6 grabs last week against Philly. Zeke had 5 grabs. It's 11 catches for running backs against this defense. The corners are good. Bradbury's questionable. Linebackers are questionable, like in terms of just talent-wise, and they're missing C.J. Gardner-Johnson in the middle of the field, who is pretty much, a lockdown safety corner for them at times. He played corner, he played safety. He'd pressure the quarterback, he'd spy on the running back and things like that. So he is missing from this offense. I think Mattison will have a big game. And I know, sticking with this game, we want to get into other things past Thursday Night Football, but Abby, you like Hawkinson. I like Hawkinson. Hunter Henry last week ate up this Eagles defense. Again, tight ends, running backs that can catch. And Hawkinson's been a guy, he's averaging 6 catches per game. And I know you were talking up a little bit as well, Abby, and 5.5 catches, 4.5 is gone. It's kind of juiced up, but 5.5 is available plus money. And I feel like he's going to Madison. It's easy to say Justin Jefferson, but these 2 teams played week 2, and it was also Philly's home opener. And Kirk Cousins struggled when he threw the ball to Justin Jefferson. Slay's a really good corner. So other guys are going to have to step up. And I know you like Hawkinson as well, Abby.
Yeah, no, for sure. Exactly. You just mentioned it. Like, Philly's defense is going to be, downfield. Their corners, their secondary is good. I think it's going to open up some of those short yardage situations with the running backs and the tight ends. So yeah, I see Kirk Cousins kind of utilizing that, and the Vikings utilizing that in their game plan. Speaking of game plans, everyone was watching Derek Carr. How is he going to be with New Orleans and the Saints? This might cause some controversy here on the show because I think, Meaney, you like New Orleans. Randall, you don't like the Saints. Am I about to create an unnecessary argument, or is this a necessary argument?
I mean, we'll see. I am definitely bullish on the Saints. Without hesitation, I took them at plus 180 to win the division. I think that they're going to be a 10, maybe 11 win team this year. I think they're going to be hosting a playoff game in the Superdome, and they're 3-point favorites on the road, which I get it. It's tough. We talked about it last week with Jacksonville and Indy, and honestly, yeah, went 3-0. Great. Got lucky. Let's not lie. There was the Colts at the very end of the game to get a score. Like, the backdoor cover was definitely available. I think this field goal game possible. On the road against Carolina, Bryce Young's first home game. I'm sure the fans are going to be amped. It's going to be great. Keep pounding. Hashtag keep pounding in Carolina.
Hey, don't hate on Carolina. Actually, I hate on Carolina.
No, I'm not going to hate on them. I like Bryce Young. He did some good things in that first game. The offensive line, I have major questions about the offensive line. Adam Thielen is just not the same guy. A lot of the looks were to Hayden Hurst, and they really ran through Miles Sanders, which is something I expect them to do all year long. Miles Sanders had 6 targets, 4 grabs. It's the first time he's had 6 targets in over 3 years. He just wasn't used that way in Philadelphia. They're going to treat him as a bell cow back in Carolina, but this Saints defense is legit. This is the first year that Derek Carr's had a top 10 defense. Yes, they struggled to start the game, but it's a new quarterback, new offense. Took a little bit to get going. The Titans are a good team, well coached. That was definitely a grind at home, but I think the Saints are much better than Carolina. I really like what I saw from Derek Carr, utilizing Chris Olave down the field. Sleeper, Rashid Shaheed. Didn't you have a short on Rashid Shaheed?
Did you see Derek Carr calling the shots, right? I love there was a video that went viral essentially of him, being hey, run the go route, just be ready. He asked coach, give me another shot. I just love that. That's the stuff in week 1 that you do like to see, right? Players like that are new to the organization that are hey, just trust me with this situation, and then obviously them connecting on that go route was huge. And then it just shows the chemistry between those two guys and the respect. And that's what you love to see. And that was fun to watch.
You love it. The Raiders didn't care for this guy. They said, go home. Week 16, go home. We don't even want you in the facility, dude. Just go home. And the Saints are letting him call some plays. Michael Thomas looked healthy, involved early and often. I love Juwan Johnson. Jamal Williams did not have a good game. Randle nailed that. I mean, that was easy. He didn't even have to sweat that one out, dude. He had the under rushing prop.
I played that one. Thank you.
This is going to be a much better matchup for Jamal Williams. Those that played the chalk last week in DFS with Jamal Williams, don't be afraid to go back to him in tournaments. They're going to be able to lean on him a little bit more. You throw on the Titans. That's what you do. So Derek Carr took some shots with Olave and Shaheed and Michael Thomas, but I think there'd be a more balanced attack. Go ahead, Randall. I just think the Saints team is certainly legit. Defensively, they can bring it. And I don't think Derek Carr is as bad as what people let on.
I can see it. He's boiling. I can see it on his face.
Chris, you are a brilliant analyst, and you were 3-0, and it's not lucky, by the way, because how many times those bounces go in the other direction? So it was not luck. You nail it the entire time. However, on this one, I think you got to be drug tested. I do not like the Saints in this spot. It's an interdivision game favored on the road. And can we slow down with Derek Carr talking about his shot to Shaheed with Jameis Winston sitting there nodding? Oh, Jameis, you want us to throw the ball? You had 30 interceptions in Tampa Bay. We know you like to throw the ball. Here's my argument here with them. The Saints got 3 interceptions off Ryan Tannehill, who's giving the ball out like those giant Kit Kats on Halloween.
That's a good point. He looked
okay.
Awful.
They also they pressured him, and he was 16 of 34. He was terrible, and they win the game 16-15 by 1 point. I do not like them on the road, and history says that the Panthers keep this game close. So I love the points here, Chris. That's the key one. Last 4 times they've played, the Panthers have won 3 of the last 4, number 1. Number 2, 7 points, 18 points, 14 points, and 7 points for the Saints. And, oh, by the way, those games had Alvin Kamara, who's not here. Yes, I think they're vulnerable on the ground, but Jamal Williams, like the days of one of my favorites, Cedric Benson, he is a plotter. He is not a guy who's going to have the explosive plays of even a Tyler Algier. Yes, they have to hit Shaheed deep. Olave's a stud. I get that. I think Carolina plays well at home. Divisional game, knee-jerk reaction. And I'm still not buying into Derek Carr yet. 60% completion percentage last year. So I'm going the other way with the Panthers here, getting the points. But you guys know that in a division game favorite on the road, I tend to take the points in this spot. But I am not big on the Saints.
Yeah, no, it's fair. I mean, you make a lot of good points. I just don't know how Carolina is really going to move the ball. And that's my thinking.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't look that great against an Atlanta team that doesn't impress me all that much. The Falcons won the game. They leaned on the run, both backs, and they scored some points. But I think the Saints will be able to shut down Miles Sanders and force Bryce Young into situations that are going to be uncomfortable for him. So we'll see how this does play out. Who do you like to win the division? Do you like the Falcons?
Yeah, Falcons. I both have an easy schedule. We looked at our strength of schedule. Both the Saints have an easy one and the Falcons do. I trust Arthur Smith a little bit. He's loyal to his guys, which is why Tyler Algier is playing. Kyle Pitts isn't catching balls. And Drake London, who, by the way, I think Carolina schemed out of that game, kudos to the coaching staff there. I think they may be able to do the same to Olave. But yeah, I like Atlanta, but watch out for Tampa Bay, who are Aaron Schatz said is going to win the division before we even started the season.
Yeah.
Bucks look good.
Yeah.
Okay, so Randall, how about we talk about something you enjoy discussing that's not the New Orleans Saints? We're gonna go back to Thursday night football. I know we have a lot, like we're talking about Thursday night football a lot, but it's a big game and it's an exciting game. A lot of people have eyes on it. You like AJ Brown? Yes. You don't like AJ Brown? What's the deal with him?
I don't like AJ. I like AJ Brown. He's tremendous. Okay. I don't like him to hit his over on his receptions prop. And allow me to swing you here. AJ Brown is dominant, but he tends to be dominant when Dallas Goedert is not involved. I used our FTN splits tool here to get some data. In the 7 games that he's played with Dallas Goedert and Jalen Hurts, when Dallas Goedert has had 4 or more receptions, he only averages 4.7 receptions. That's a 12% drop. I do not think that AJ Brown, you have to beat this prop, which came in, I believe, at 5.5. He's got to have 6, guys. 6 is an awful lot for AJ Brown to get. He's been under that in 70% of the games last year. We remember the explosive games, the big blowout games. I don't think it happens because I think Goddard gets involved. 1 target, 0 receptions. When Goddard gets involved, Smith gets involved, he tends to come down a little bit. Now, listen, he's certainly one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. He could bust one for 70 yards. So I'm not going under his receiving yardage total, Abby, but I am going under that 5.5 number. It's hard to get 6. 6 is a lot. You get 6 every game. You're over 100 for the season. Not everybody gets over 100. I'll take the under on A.J. Brown. Love him. I just don't think he's getting 6 here, not with Dallas Goedert getting more involved.
That's really interesting insight because, me and probably a lot of the public are going to look at this and be like, well, Minnesota allowed the second most passing yards per game in 2022. So, why would you not take the over on a lot of the receivers for the Eagles? So I like that. Great insight. Meaney, do you have anything to say about it?
Yeah, no, I think I think it makes a lot of sense. And, the reason I think Randall's bringing up Dallas Goedert because he put up a big goose egg in the first week against the New England Patriots. And, in fact, there were 2 plays in the fourth quarter where Dallas Goedert was completely wide open and he was looking at AJ. And then after the game, Nick Sirianni said, we can't have another game where Dallas Goedert is only getting 1 target. And what happened last year after week 1, Devontae Smith had a 0. And he said after the game, we can't have a game where Devontae Smith has 0 catches. And in week 2 against the Vikings, it was all Devontae Smith and it was a mismatch. And maybe Jalen Hurts goes back to Smith and gets Goddard involved. Goddard would clearly be involved. He's not going to have another game with 0 catches. So maybe more of a balanced attack. And we'll see what they have going on the run game because there's some guys that are questionable there as well.
Okay, Meaney, you mentioned the Bucs briefly. Did we talk about the Bucs enough this offseason? I don't think we did. Tom Brady's gone, right? And then you have Kyle Trask and Baker Mayfield and this quarterback battle. And nobody was talking about it. Nobody was talking about the Bucs and I think obviously the Aaron Rodgers stuff was a big deal and whatever. But then Baker Mayfield comes out last week and he's like, hey, you guys weren't talking about me? I'm gonna make you talk about me now. Now we're paying attention. What's going on with Tampa Bay? I mean, it's good to see, right? Because Baker Mayfield's been on, numerous teams and he's really tried to find a rhythm. And, now he's replacing the best to ever do it. So good for Baker. What do you like do you like the Bucs? Yeah.
I do like the Bucs, and I like to hear that Schatz likes the Bucs, and I think everybody was just like, the Bucs are going to be awful because of what you said, Abby. Goat is gone. Tom Brady is gone. It's Baker Mayfield. He's really bounced around over the past couple of years, and he hasn't looked great as a quarterback, but they still have some really good players defensively and offensively. Baker, didn't have the strongest game. He had a better second half than he did in the first half. Again, new quarterback in a new system, getting familiar, but Chris Godwin is great. Mike Evans is great. Those guys combined for 11 catches, over 100 yards. Mike Evans found the end zone. They still struggle to run the ball, which is something they didn't do very well last year. New offensive coordinator in town, and Dave Canales, I do believe will get this run game going a touch. Maybe we see more Sean Tucker. It's possible. But I like this team in this spot. I thought Baker showed us enough. Now, Minnesota threw the game away. I think we can all agree, this Minnesota Vikings team should never be favored by a touchdown, and they were, and we saw some line movement towards the start of the game, and the Bucs were able to not only cover, but they were able to win that game, and they made some plays, I thought, defensively. Minnesota had some turnovers where oh, no. Minnesota gave that game away, but let's give some credit to the Bucs for making some turnovers. So here they are at home, as you see on the bottom left, in their home opener against the Chicago Bears, who I thought were probably the most disappointing team to watch on Sunday.
Not fun.
Like the Bengals struggled offensively, but we can say that the Browns had a good defense. Cleveland's a tough place to play. Burrow wasn't 100%. But Chicago was just, they made some improvements defensively, but they weren't bringing it defensively. They can't stop the run. So maybe Rachaad White has a better game here. Justin Fields only attempted 3 passes past 10 yards. He didn't throw to his guy, DJ Moore, at all. 2 targets, and they came in the final minutes of the first half. He doesn't look good. So I'm going to go with the better defense. And believe it or not, Baker, at this moment, I have more confidence in him than I do with Chicago. So 3-point favorites at home against the Bears. I think they probably win by a touchdown.
I mean, in a week that had like some of the worst quarterback performances, and I mean, again, it was week 1, but and we're talking Baker Mayfield, that should say a lot. But I mean, I'll support him. I'm Team Baker. I can be Team Baker for a little bit. You like to see the guys that are sometimes the underdogs, right? You want to do well. But yeah, I don't know.
A lot of heart. It's like fourth and there was like a third and fourth at one point, Abby, and he ran through
exactly.
Shot to get putting his body on the line. And that's what you want to see if you're your quarterback doing that. It does uplift everybody else inside on the offense and on the team. Like, we got a new quarterback here. He's willing to run through a wall for us. You like that.
For sure. So speaking of disappointments and the Bengals, they are playing the Ravens this week. Yes. And no, yeah. I'm like, am I getting mixed up right now? God, it's only week 2. Come on, snap into it, Abby. Okay, Randall. The Ravens lost J.K. Dobbins. Oh no, everybody's freaking out, but they should be fine. Yes.
They should be fine. In fact, I found a great nugget on this game. The preseason matters, guys. And we saw Tank Dell do some great moves to the Texans. He's a guy I think is going to explode this week. Justice Hill looked really strong in the preseason. He caught my eye that I grabbed him in a couple best ball leagues. Yes, they're going to lose Dobbins. They have Gus Edwards, the Gus bus from the goal line. Justice Hill looks good. They called up Melvin Gordon. Abby, they're going to be fine. So here's the focus. Everyone assumes Cincinnati's going to bounce back. Why? Why can't it be that Cincinnati, who normally has a Super Bowl, the team that loses Super Bowl struggles? They struggled to start the year last year. They were 0-2. Then they got hot. I don't believe in the Bengals. Chris said it before. I don't think Joe Burrow is healthy. A lot of concerns. Bengals running game was not good. 26 in DVOA per Aaron Schatz in week 1. Joe Mixon, 56 rushing yards on 13 attempts. And if you get rid of the 22-yard run, he's averaging, Joe Mixon, a robust 2.83 yards per carry. T. Higgins, side of a milk carton, 8 targets, no receptions. Chase shut down. I am concerned about the Bengals. And here's the one. In games on the road where the Ravens are an underdog and Lamar Jackson is the quarterback, the Ravens are 7-1 against the spread, including 5 outright wins. I am going with the Ravens here. I think the Bengals are in trouble. I have no problem with their starting 0-2. Could be another team I think is starting 0-2. We'll get to them a little bit. I think the Bengals are going down. I like the Ravens to win the game outright. Plus 3.5. It's not going to stay at that hook for long. I expect movement as we get closer to game time. Love the Ravens. Love the 3.5. Bengals have concern on defense. Lamar struggled, but DeMeco Ryans did a nice job as a defensive coordinator. I like the Ravens here. 7-1 Lamar Jackson. Abby, give it to me here. Maybe even a money line play.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up the money line play because 164, there has been some movement since recording with Dane Martinez Wednesday afternoon. It was plus 164, plus 155. I agree with Randall. Like, you're not going to be able to get that 3.5. And I think it's kind of important, right? Road team, division game. If they lose by a field, if the 3.5 is obviously much better than the 3, right? Yep. If Cincy just wins by the field goal, you're still going to be able to cash this ticket. So I don't think Burrow is healthy. I know that he started slow over the course of his career. You mentioned the 0-2 start. There's been a numerous amount of things with Burrow, from getting his appendix removed last season to the significant knee injury and then not being with the team to start with the calf injury. I just don't think he is healthy. And division game, I think I would, if there's a dog, we're looking for dogs. I think Baltimore is definitely in play.
Chris, the Ravens run defense shut down Dameon Pierce. I don't see why they can't do it to Joe Mixon. Now it's 100%. On Joe Burrow. Remember what Chase said when he first got hurt, guys. Wouldn't be surprised if he's out till week 5 or later. Wait a minute. What? So you can say all you want. He did not look healthy. I know it was the rain. If it rained, it doesn't rain that game. How do we know the Browns don't put up 40? That's my point.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair. Hey, okay, so I feel like I need to redeem myself from this Giants fiasco. I like Dolphins to cover against the Patriots. Is it still 2.5? I hope it is. I didn't even check. Is it still 2.5?
I think it's still 2.5 in some spots, and yeah, let me get you confirmation here. I think 2.5 over at FanDuel, but it's all right. 2.5, 3, it's the same. It's all good.
I'm taking Miami to cover here. Tua is 4-0 against Bill Belichick and the Patriots. The question mark is always like with the Dolphins defense, but Mac Jones, I don't trust him and the Patriots offense. So I think he's still too inaccurate. The offensive struggles, I don't see them getting fixed in 1 week. So I'm, again, high on the Dolphins. Like, give me that game. That's going to be my one pick for this week. We'll see if I can redeem myself.
Oh, baby, let's go, Miami. I mean, Tua's coming off a really, really good game. That New England defense is legit, but it's going to be tough, right, Mike? It's going to be tough, Mike, to get a hold of Tyreek Hill, right?
Abby, put the Homer Simpson gif up. I may slide out on this one. Belichick is good at taking away the best option. I think, Chris, one of the most underrated performances was that Patriot defense after they got buried 16-0 rest of the game. Yeah. Little concerned. Also, guys, something to keep an eye on, which, of course, Abby may change your pick. Raheem Mostert did not practice today. He could be out. Jalen Waddle also banged up here. So check game time. But, of course, we're not going to hold you to that. If Mostert and or Waddle do not play, that's a big difference here. But the one thing, guys, I cannot see Tyreek Hill against Bill Belichick, the greatest coach of all time for my money, having that performance again. But you never know. You never know. The Dolphins have had the Patriots number. It's true.
They have. I was going to say, well, then it's going to be a Waddle game. But if Waddle doesn't suit up, then it's going to be tough for Miami. But we'll see. We'll see how that one plays out.
Okay, finally, one last question for you guys. I'm just curious because I feel like everybody's talking about this. Josh Allen and the Bills, do they bounce back in week 2? What happens?
That's a great question.
Because I don't think we haven't hit that, and I think that's really important because Josh Allen and the Bills have been a huge storyline for the season.
Chris, you take that one first. This is tough. It's a good question. I'm going to defer to you first so I can think.
I think that they will bounce back. I mean, I'm not comfortable taking them by 9.5. Again, prop shop, parlay calculator, free tools, links inside the description of this video to check out. Save you a lot of time, save you a lot of cash. There's going to be some line movement. It's a big number. And I was pretty impressed with Jimmy G.
I got Jimmy G on my fantasy team, so
I don't know how fantasy relevant he's going to be, Abby, but he is a guy that
wins. You had a really bad draft, okay?
You're like, wait, this is super flex? Why is everyone taking?
I literally halfway through, I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah, I mean, he wins football games, right? That's what he's done, and some of them haven't been pretty, but he has won football games, and something we had on this show and. We had the Raiders to cover with a potential to win the game, and 7 straight they've won inside that division. It's tough. I think Buffalo will bounce back. I think Josh Allen will bounce back as well. He has been trending in this direction. He leads the NFL in turnovers since I believe 2018. It's been a thing that has really happened. You know, he started his NFL career with the inaccuracy issues. He's kind of cleaned that up, but man, 4 turnovers. Respect to the Jets defense for sure, but I feel like he's very risky and he takes shots down the field. He's not like, I guess the opposite of Jimmy G, which is kind of a game manager, but good defense at home. You know, I don't know if you guys have ever been to Buffalo, you know, they're throwing people on tables and
it's like Bill's Mafia is unbelievable.
That's going to be rocking there.
And look for Bill's Mafia videos just because it's so entertaining to watch.
He'd be able to take some shots in that Raiders secondary that Russ couldn't do. So I'd stay away, honestly, from the 9.5. It is a big number. I probably would lean with the Raiders to cover, to be honest, but Buffalo should win that game. I would be very, very surprised, Mike, if they didn't pull off the W.
Yeah, three thoughts here, guys. Our FTN NFL model last week, 3-0 when we have a 10% edge or higher. One of the 10% edges right now is Raiders plus 9.5, 10.6% edge. Don't want any part of this game. Could the Bills maybe be in trouble like the Bengals? It's possible. I do think, guys, 2 props I'm looking at. Number 1, Stephon Diggs, 73 receiving yards. I mean, honestly, I think he slams that no problem. And you guys know I love James Cook. Last week, Samaje Perine, Javonte Williams for the Broncos. 8 total receptions, 4 apiece. I think James Cook's going to light it up there. But I agree, this could be a big Josh Jacobs game, guys. Could be one of those DFS busters, 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. 9.5 is an awful lot. I agree.
Yeah, the Bills can't stop the run.
Yep.
No. I love it. Great stuff as always, guys. One more?
I got one more. I got one more to surprise you.
I'm scared.
What could it be? Wait,
let me guess. Is it Eagles? Something
No.
Philly.
No, it's not Philly. I think we're gonna pick on the Broncos again. Why not?
Oh,
let's pick on Denver.
Russell
Russell
Wilson,
Wilson
close your ears.
didn't show me enough, and I get it. Quarterback Sean Payton fixing the offense. Don't know if Judy's gonna come back. This Broncos team was the worst offense in football. I don't need to get into it too much. If you watch last week's show, it's the same. I have the same concerns with the Broncos. Defensively, they're great. Sam Howell's in town. Mike, you and I chatted. You mentioned it. Good point. Offensive line, got to protect Sam Howell. It's not going to be a fun game for Sam Howell. I will say that. Like, Denver's the tough place to go play. But 3.5 here, I have more confidence in Washington at this point. They have Dotson. They have Terry McLaurin. They have maybe the best kept secret at running back, and Brian Robinson. Everybody wants Antonio Gibson. Stop it. He is not a 15 to 20 carry guy. Brian Robinson is, and he is a good back. And the defense is pretty solid in Washington. It's a deep, they squeaked one out against Arizona, maybe the worst team ever assembled, but they found a way to win that game at home. I think that they can go into Denver and cover this 3.5. I think it's a 3-point game. The Broncos are not going to beat anybody this year by 4 or 5. They're going to win games by a field goal. Give me the Commanders plus 3.5. I'm just trying to find a dog for you guys. Broncos 3, Saints 3, favored by a field goal. I wanted to come the other way with you. So, Mike, I don't know how you feel about that one, but keep it close, Washington.
I will tell you this, Chris. It is a stay away for me. And you know I like the Broncos. That tells you all you need to know. I believe in Brian Robinson. I have said all along this idea that Eric Bieniemy is going to turn Antonio Gibson into Jerick McKinnon. No, he's not. He's going to turn Brian Robinson into a lead running back that's versatile. He's strong. He carries the ball. He's goal line touches, and he catches passes out of the backfield. By the way, thank you for the receiving touchdown there, Brian Robinson. Sam Howell was impressive. Yeah. My concern is they have to protect him. You mentioned about the Denver defense, but Howell went right down the field several times, no problem. End of the first half, just zipping that ball in. He does not care. That is not the type of quarterback you want to bet against. I am staying away from this game. Chris, I have no problem with the pick at all because I am nervous. If Chase Young was playing, looks like he's out, I'd even probably be a little bit more to Washington. But I'll tell you this, I love Brian Robinson. I like their defense, and I like Sam Howell. Don't go by the numbers there. I think he was QB 12 or something like that for last week. That was because they could not protect him. If they fix that, watch out. 3.5, little frisky in Denver. I'm staying away.
Oh, baby.
Guys, this one's kind of personal. Like, Russell Wilson went to NC State. You know, my guy. Sam Howell went to UNC. Like, can't stand UNC.
Pick a side.
I like.
You want to do Russell? Okay.
Am I gonna go against Russell Wilson?
No, I don't think.
I have some respect for Sam Howell. I have a lot of respect for Sam Howell, actually, especially after the preseason and just, you know, hearing from him a lot, seeing a lot. And Russell Wilson's just been a little disappointing lately. So
he has.
I'm going to purposefully not pick a side in this one, but
that's fine. We won't hold you to it. We won't hold you to anything.
And it will be interesting to see. It will be an interesting quarterback matchup for sure. No doubt.
Absolutely. A lot of fun props we'll have a little bit later on the week at FTN Network. If you have FTN bets, you know, you are already locked in. You are well aware of the projections and the tools Mike's referencing here. DVOA is fantastic. Love to have Shats on the squad. You have the Discord channel. We're always talking bankroll management. If you guys have any questions at all, you can reach out to us in the Discord, on Twitter, you know, the comment section here on the show. On Friday, we'll have a lot of props. I mean, I'd love to come at you with 4 or 5 props, but we just don't have the lines, right? So we'll be looking at a lot of these games. I think, you know, DJ Moore will get some targets this week. I think Rachaad White, you know, we had 11.5 rushing attempts in the tracker. I think they'll be able to lean on him a little bit. I like that one. Perine, Mike's boy. Perine and Javonte catching balls out of the backfield because Russ can only throw 4 or 5 yards down the field. We'll take a look at We'll take a look here at Kendrick Bourne, big week. Kendrick Bourne, I actually think it's a thing. Juju wasn't really on the field that much. Hunter Henry. So we'll have some props. It should be hopefully a fun week 2 again, and hopefully we can back things up here on the show.
And hopefully we come back with more winnings next week. As always, you guys can tune in to the NFL Betting Show weekly. Thank you for tuning in today, and interact with us on Twitter. We want to hear what you guys are playing. Argue with us. Don't agree with us. We like that more than arguing, but sometimes arguing is fun too. But we appreciate all of you who tune in and watch us each and every week. So for FTN Network and the NFL Betting Show, Mike Randle, Chris Meaney, Abby Labar, have some fun this weekend.